ट्रेनिंग ऑफ एनडीए, द रिगर ऑफ एनडीए इज नॉट कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड। कुछ भी करूंगा, पढ़ूंगा नहीं।
इन दोनों स्क्वाड में कंपटीशन हुआ करता था कि किसका फर्स्ट अमर दूसरे स्क्वाड में जाके पाकिस्तान का इंडिपेंडेंस अनाउंस करे।
एक सोल्जर को क्या क्या चीजों से गुजरना पड़ता है, वो आखिरी बार जब हाथ में पूरा खून होता है।
My course, we have 26 Martyrs. Bond's best is either pure love or pure stress. Starting from train compositions to loading vehicles on train. Category of trains, white flash is something, a category of train which is not stopped anywhere and which goes to shortest possible route, fastest possible speed. Fog of war, nahi, danda yaad hai. North Bihar, that guy did not have serving tea to the entire train. राखियां यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक बंधी हुई थी। मुजफ्फरनगर बनी है, काजू, किशमिश, गुड़ packed in the train.
Got so many sensors deployed at continuously to the decision makers that they have to decide किस डेटा को कोलैबोरेट करके क्या एक्शन लेना है।
Much talked about S-400 against
Yes.
drone. सारे S-400 यूज कर दिए ड्रोन मारने में। पाकिस्तान ने तो हमको ड्रोन कंट्रोल्स कैन बी टेकन ओवर। I have been disrupted your mission goal. On behalf of me, the device can act. The culpability remains with me. The nuclear codes are controlled by the president of the US. Absolute, they were reported 4 million cyber attacks. We are at war as we sit today. You are targeting critical infrastructure. Imagine if one train can be stopped by just turning that green light to red light. I need the control of the ecosystem. Not that you decide. One formation commander in one of the exercises said that I don't need core of signals. Taste of the pudding lies in its. They are. Think of threat, you think of China, Russia. Not really. Coming from army, you think आप ही देश बचा रहे हो. You are at work 24/7. The railways is at war every day. And this war is far more complex because it touches every human being. My course में open heart surgery. खड़े तो बहुत हैं. मेरे परिवार का ध्यान रख लेना। Nothing can be bigger than this.
Welcome to the Untold story with Commander Victor Mike, a podcast where bravery is not just remembered, valor is not just saluted, and intellect is not just admired, but understood. ये कहानियाँ उन लोगों की होती हैं जो हेडलाइन से दूर रहते हैं, लेकिन जिनके फैसलों से देश की डायरेक्शन डिसाइड होती है। आज हम बात करने वाले हैं एक ऐसे सोल्जर की जिन्होंने सिर्फ बॉर्डर पे नहीं, बैंडविड्थ पे भी देश की रक्षा करी है। एक ऐसे ऑफिसर जो एनडीए ज्वाइन करते हैं, उनके शब्दों में पढ़ाई से बचने के लिए और फिर आर्मी के लार्जेस्ट डिजिटल बैकबोन्स, द आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस और नेशन स्केल कम्युनिकेशन नेटवर्क्स को लीड करते हैं। फ्रॉम बूट्स ऑन ग्राउंड टू बिट्स, बाइट्स, फाइबर एंड फायरवॉल्स। ये सफ़र है वैलर प्लस विजन का। He chose the core of signals at the time when technology was support, and today technology is the battlefield. Project AWAN, 67,000 kilometers का National Fibre Optical Network, TRAI services communication backbone, information warfare, cyber preparedness और फिर यूनिफॉर्म उतारने के बाद भी नेशन फर्स्ट का mindset. From the Indian Army to TRAI, from net neutrality debates to securing one of the world's largest lifelines, the railway man. ये कहानी है एक टेक्नोक्रेट, एक सोल्जर की, एक डिजिटल सेंटिनल की और एक ऐसे लीडर की जो मानता है कि टेक्नोलॉजी अगर सही हाथ में हो तो देश को असीम शक्ति दे सकती है। आज हम बात करेंगे साइबर वॉर की, इंफॉर्मेशन डोमिनेंस की, चाइना के मॉडल्स की, रेलवेज की, वल्नरेबिलिटीज की और इस सवाल की कि क्या भारत का फ्यूचर वॉर्स के लिए तैयार है। तो तैयार हो जाइए एक ऑनेस्ट, अनफिल्टर्ड और डीपली इंसाइटफुल कॉन्वर्सेशन के लिए। It's an honor, our privilege and a matter of pride to welcome on the Untold story with Commander Victor Mike, Col Alok Pandey, retired, a soldier, a technocrat, a nation builder, and now the railway man. आज the Untold story with Commander Victor Mike के मंच में थोड़ा सा ट्विस्ट है। This is for the first time that I have invited a co-host कर्नल सिद्धार्थ शुक्ला जो कि पहले मेरे मंच पर आ चुके हैं और वी हैड अ ब्यूटीफुल टॉक ऑन द कोर ऑफ सिग्नल्स एंड अ लॉट अबाउट एनडीए एंड अ लॉट अबाउट द इंडियन आर्मी। वेलकम सर ऑन बोर्ड। आज हमारे साथ हैं कर्नल आलोक पांडे। आई कैन कॉल हिम द रेलवेज मैन, राइट सर? सर, 2 वर्ड्स आपके जुबानी कमांडर विक्टर माइक के प्लेटफॉर्म पे आने के लिए।
It's a real honor to be on your platform.
थैंक यू सर।
And what this platform, I have followed it for quite some time now. The kind of people that you get on this platform, the thought that emanate from this platform are something that the world should actually follow. And in that context, given the small piece of a small cogwheel that I am, it's an honor to be part of this.
सर बस कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि हम इस मंच पर ऐसी इंस्पिरेशनल स्टोरीज लेके आए, और सिर्फ इंस्पिरेशनल स्टोरीज का ही वो एक दायरा नहीं है सर। इस दायरे में हम कुछ टेक्नोलॉजी की बात करेंगे, कुछ अपनी फौज की बातें करेंगे, और कैसे फ्रॉम मिलिट्री टू कॉर्पोरेट, फ्रॉम मिलिट्री टू पब्लिक सेक्टर, कैसे लोगों का कन्वर्जन्स हो रहे हैं इन देयर सो कॉल्ड सेकेंड इनिंग्स। और इसके साथ साथ जॉनर्स का अभी सिलसिला और बढ़ता जाएगा विद द सपोर्ट ऑफ माय ब्यूटीफुल ऑडियंस। सर, आपकी शुरुआत हुई एनडीए से सर, फेमसली फॉर अवॉइडिंग स्टडीज। From avoiding studies to becoming a technocrat, leading digital technology, it is phenomenal and incredible, sir. So what was the real turning point which made you fall in love with technology and specifically signals?
It is the truth. Only thing that I did not want to do after my class 12th was study, because my father was a mechanical engineer.
जी sir.
And I saw his life as a mechanical engineer in the plants. Most of the time he would not be available. So that was the trigger कि कुछ भी करूँगा, पढ़ूंगा नहीं। और जैसी मौका मिला, I got through NDA, went to NDA, and my mother kept saying कि नहीं कुछ कर ले. Incidentally, I got selected for few engineering colleges, reputed engineering colleges, but then to their dismay, I said I will choose NDA over all of them.
Beautiful, sir.
Then as you say, जब कुछ होना होता है ना, तो सारे ग्रह
सितारे
एक साथ
एक तरफ आ
जाते हैं, इकट्ठे उस तरह से हो जाते हैं। तो कोई एक पर्टिकुलर मोमेंट तो नहीं बोल सकता कि ये पॉइंट है जहां से टर्निंग, लेकिन ग्रहों का अलाइनमेंट शुरू हुआ।
इसमें मैं आपको इंटरजेक्ट करूंगा। हमारे शुक्ला सर ने इस पे एक बहुत ही हिंदी का वर्ड यूज करा था जो कॉस्मो से रिलेटेड था।
प्रारब्ध कर्मा। ये प्रारब्ध कर्मा था आपके पिछले जन्म में। आप चाहते थे कि आप फौज में आए, तो इस जन्म जैसे भी घूम फिरते आप फौज में आ गए। दैट इज व्हाट आई से।
सर प्लीज कंटिन्यू विद योर
So वो ग्रहों का अलाइनमेंट शुरू हुआ, and the first thing or the best thing that happened to me was I went to the golf squadron in India. Siddharth will bail me out. He's been with Hunter and Charlie.
and he didn't talk about Lima.
That was my sister's
That's
call. I respect that call.
It's difficult to be a lion and a sister, but coming to back to the question, and that was one of the best thing that could happen to me was मुझे golf squadron मिला।
जी सर।
Of all the 15 squadron, this is one squadron I don't know. It's in the DNA of the squadron. It's the culture of the squadron. The squadron has a strategic approach.
Okay.
The training of NDA, the rigor of NDA is not compromised.
True.
All the events, starting from the first event, which is the cross country, to the last event, which is academics, the squadron would take part religiously. But there were 2 non-negotiables.
Okay.
And those 2 were physical training and academics. These were the 2 events or 2 competitions whose results would come second last and last.
अच्छा.
Very like Hunter.
So, irrespective of the performance that you had throughout the academy that semester, these 2, since they were non-negotiable, all of a sudden golf would bounce from 10th, 11th, 12th, 6th, 7th, wherever it was,
Directly
to first 5.
First 5. Right.
The importance of academics and physical training, that is why I said a strategic approach to the whole thing. They realized very early, or probably this was realized among those 15 squadrons, that these 2 things are very important.
जी sir.
So the focus on academics, where I'm coming to, the focus on academics, since it was non-negotiable,
वही turning point हो गया।
you were told कि आपको करना है. That was one thing. When I joined NDA, I joined in the top 50 of the overall merit. And 90th NDA was the biggest course in NDA till that time.
मैं फिर इंटरजेक्ट करूंगा सर। ज्वाइन एनडीए 1993 एज पार्ट ऑफ द 90th कोर्स ऑफ एनडीए।
So So that was the biggest course. So I joined the top 50. Subconscious at that level, you're always conscious कि आपका कहाँ पर relative standing है.
जी
So in that you wanted to be कि top 50 में आए तो at least वहाँ तो रहें.
जी
You suddenly realize people who did nothing in their life and only did academics and got a torch would figure in the top 50, and rest everyone who was doing everything but was weak in academics was figuring
नीचे
rock bottom. So somehow that worked out first thing. The second best thing that happened was I got core of signals. You can't choose core of signals. It has to be in your line.
It chooses you.
It chooses, or it has to be in your line. You have to have that luck line in your hand to get to that. That was the next best thing that happened to me. Because coming to core of signals and the way Army has structured its technical training is that you first need to go to the field and see how things happen and then come back and relate it to the academics. So once you went and saw these things happening on ground and then came back to the academic rigor, you could relate academics to what was happening and how it was giving rise to realities. Because of these two things, so what I realized in probably retrospect was that I was not averse to academics. I was averse to academics which is only bookish in nature. When you saw that it can be put to real use, put to real good, that you said, okay, this is a good place to be in. And that is how I got comfortable with the whole thing. And then as I keep telling some of my friends or my students whom I have taught, that I can see electromagnetic waves now.
Yeah.
What I did not want to read, I can see them. So that is
अच्छा, मैं एक छोटी सी बात बोलूँगा मेरे ऑडियंस के लिए भी. शुक्ला सर हंटर डिवीजन से थे, हंटर स्क्वाड्रन से, जिसके बारे में हमने अपने पिछले पॉडकास्ट में बात करी थी, जहाँ पे इफ़ यू आर स्टडिंग एकेडमी में अच्छे होते थे तो यू आर लुक डाउन अपॉन. और एक कंट्रास्टिंग गेस्ट आए हैं आज हमारे पास जो कि गोल्फ स्क्वाड्रन से थे, जहाँ पे एकेडमिया वाज समथिंग वेरी हाईली रेटेड. सो मजा यहीं पे आता है कि जब दो एनडीए के लोग मेरे साथ इस मंच पर हैं, बिल्कुल कंट्रास्टिंग पर्सनालिटीज, they were both serving as part of the core of signals. So I think कहीं ना कहीं कॉस्मोस ने आप दोनों को चुना था. और अब ये डिस्कशन और मेरे को लग रहा है इंटरेस्टिंग होने वाला, बिकॉज आज बहुत सारी बातें होने वाली हैं. जैसे मैंने इंट्रो में भी बोला था, आज हम आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस की बात करेंगे, रेलवे नेटवर्क्स की बात करेंगे, साइबर वॉरफेयर के बारे में बात करेंगे. जिस जगह पर, जिस मुकाम पर शुक्ला सर ने अपनी लास्ट टॉक को छोड़ा था, आज उस मुकाम से हम ऊपर जाएंगे. और आई एम श्योर हमारी ऑडियंस को बहुत कुछ सुनने को मिलेगा. आई थिंक नाउ
I think
Shukla sir will ask the
I'll ask two questions to sir. One related to NDA. Tell me one thing. When we were in HuntersCon, there was always this struggle between golf, and Echo. No, golf and Foxtrot. That each had a rivalry. And I remember on 14th of August, इन दोनों स्कॉन में कंपटीशन हुआ करता था कि किसका फर्स्ट टमर दूसरे स्कॉन में जाके पाकिस्तान का इंडिपेंडेंस डे अनाउंस करे. सर, प्लीज टेल अस अबाउट दैट.
Golf and Foxtrot, as you are aware, they call each other as India Pakistan. So one claims to be India, the other claims to be is supposed to be Pakistan. And for me, Foxtrot is the forever Pakistan. And
I hope no Foxies are listening to this.
It's a part of a healthy competition.
Yeah.
That you compete with each other. To wish the other person a very happy Independence Day on
14th of August, not on 15th.
And not only first termers.
Okay.
In our case, it used to go up to the third termers. As also, wherever you met them, on that day, the first person would eventually end up saying, Happy Independence Day, brother. So enjoy. And some of my course mates who are from Foxtrot, we don't call each other by their names. I call someone by Parvez, others Imran, and they have similar names for us. So that is how it goes.
But it is a very, foreign. I was also in the 2nd Battalion HuntersCon, and we used to be, amazed with this rivalry. And though it was very competitive, but it was quite funny to, listen to all these tales.
Sir, I think ये जो रंजिशें दिख रही हैं, ऐसी लग रही हैं हमारे ऑडियंस को. Let's talk about the army life, which is all about camaraderie, as it is about discipline also. आपकी कोई unforgettable story जिससे आप वो relate कर सकते हैं अपने कोर्समेट्स के साथ, अपने यूनिट के साथ, which truly embodies the so-called spirit of you, your mates, your team, your unit itself?
Oh, number of them. Some of them have to stand out to be probably said that this one is better than the other. Number of them, but
जो आपके
few
दिल के
that
करीब हो,
जो
सर.
जो मैं share करना चाहूँगा was again going back to the 90th course again. Course mates is the word that you used first. So we are the biggest course at that point in time.
जी सर.
और एनडीए में थर्ड टर्म में you go to various training institutes or centers to see those arms or services in action. So,
वो कैसे चलते हैं basically?
so one of the visit was to the RT Center Devlali, and famously when we came back from RT Center Devlali, we were just asked to deboard and strip.
Strip मतलब?
Strip मतलब
Strip
strip
मतलब
कपड़े उतार दीजिए आप.
uniforms. Yeah.
There were all divos lined up in front of the mess, and you were asked to say, Goldscorn, move down and strip.
मैं यहाँ पे एक छोटा सा डिस्क्लेमर डालना चाहूंगा. स्ट्रिप से मतलब आप वो विजुलाइज ऐसे मत करिएगा कि पूरा स्ट्रिप हो गया. देयर आर बेसिक थिंग्स व्हिच आर मेंटेन्ड.
No, you stripped.
In your
That disclaimer has to go. You were stripped to your
Underwear.
bare essentials.
Okay, audience, you can imagine now.
undergarments.
So we came to know then that a primer, Bofors primer, was missing,
Okay.
reportedly missing at Devlali, and the last squadron.
Courtesy your course.
The last squadron was to visit that
Place was
gun
Goldscorn.
was Gulf Squadron. So kind of attribution came to Gulf Squadron. Obviously, after stripping us, nothing was found on us. It was turned for other course-mates to be stripped.
Oh God, मतलब धारणा ये थी कि कोई उठा के लेके आ गया.
उठा के मतलब primer लेके आ गया.
Control store, so it had to be
So
accounted.
among them, when the search was going on by the divisional officers, cigarette packets fell out, liquor bottles, small bottles fell out. Things that would have got people relegated were put aside. You can understand the magnitude. Bofors primer is missing.
मतलब वो सिगरेट के पैकेट्स, वो
तो वो
दारू की बोतल,
भी-
वो बहुत छोटी हो गई
It was
थी.
like you mouse, you smoke also. Because I'm right now searching for Bofors primer, and I'm not even recollected after that कि आपको मुझे
छोटी
इसके लिए
मोटी
relegate भी
मुझे
किया था.
ऐसी ट्रेनिंग का कोई भी अंदाजा नहीं था.
So-
ये है कमराडरी.
So
Yes.
coming to the अभी तो camaraderie portion शुरू ही नहीं हुआ.
जी जी जी.
What bonds best is either pure love or pure stress.
True.
In real world भी अगर आप देखो, if you talk of this table has been bonded using a lot of stress, thermal stress and different kind of. Next 8 days, morning routine PT से शुरू हुआ, classes कीजिए. 2 o'clock you are there in something famously known as Bombay Stadium in full scale
Marching order.
scale A,
Hmm.
and with weapon, and you are running 8 kilometers, and you will
ET,
knowing the terrain.
endurance test.
Not ET was a shorter word. You go through the ET route, go right up to the Pashan gate,
Pashan gate.
and come back, and it was all timed. The timing, by the time you reach, was never possible that you'll reach in the time that our famous adjutant KK Arun, we used to call him Chhata because he was big chest. So like Modi says today, Chhappan inch ka Sina. We had seen Chhappan inch ka Sina in 1993. So this man made you run every day to the extent that the drill ustads, who are supposed to be jallads of that area, started having pity on us. Is cadet,
तरस खा लिया.
cadet, please भाग लो, नहीं तो punishment मिलेगा आपको और.
DNC वाला पार्ट.
So finally, the primer was discovered on the 5th day in Devlali itself.
Oh
But
God.
since 4 days we had undergone this grind under the aegis of the adjutant,
I would say grilling.
there were lot of people who had not met the standards expected. So it continued for another 4 days.
Oh really?
So that bond that we developed there,
Part and parcel of training.
is 90th NDA, the last man, the first man. We have had relegations who go 2 courses down. Nobody forgets.
वो
90th.
साथ कभी नहीं छूटा.
That is one part of the camaraderie that I say.
It's so beautiful. Sometimes इतना मैंने भी कैडेट ट्रेनिंग करी है. जैसे मैंने शुक्ला सर के साथ भी डिस्कस करा था, इनके एकेडमी के बहुत पास लोनावला में, जहाँ लोग चिक्की खाने जाते हैं, हमारा भी वही रगड़ा पट्टी, महाराजा, ट्रंक ऑर्डर्स, स्केले, मार्चिंग ऑर्डर्स, एंड्योरेंस टेस्ट, impositions, I don't know what all, but ये जो चीज़ हमारी एक ब्यूटी जो हम समझ पा रहे हैं ना, आई थिंक ऑडियंस इसके साथ इतना ब्यूटीफुली कनेक्ट करेगी कि क्यों एक फौजी दूसरे फौजी ऑफिसर के साथ कनेक्ट करता है ड्यूरिंग द ट्रेनिंग, एंड दिस इज एक्चुअली मैंडेटरी.
That is where the bond develops.
Exactly.
You develop the
Exactly.
bond in
बिल्कुल.
that
तो
way.
हम फेमसली अपने आप को बोलते हैं एनडीए में 3 कैंप्स होते हैं,
Hmm.
द ग्रीन हॉर्न, रोवर्स
Rovers
एंड
and-
तोड़ना.
जी.
Second term, fourth term, and sixth term. We are the only course in India who has had 4 camps. The Greenhorn, Camp Karuna, because his name was KK Arun, Camp Karuna,
Chhata
Rovers,
Chhata.
Rovers, and Toda. So we have that unique privilege of going through 4 camps.
Okay, sir. I think we've talked so much about NDA, and NDA gives you so many memories. I know you can go on for hours together.
खत्म ही नहीं होगा.
And yeah, so let's move to the next academy, a very important training, advanced training at Indian Military Academy. And that is where you decide your future. You decide what arms I'll select. As you said, you did not want to study. And I came to know through your profile that you were armored or mech opti. And why did this thought come, and how did you land up in Corps of Signals?
So again, at the age of 16, when you join NDA, 16 to 19 is when you spent your time in it. I spent 16 to 18. In fact, I was the youngest cadet in my batch to join NDA. 31st October was the cutoff date, 31st October 76, and I am 29 October 76.
Okay.
And there's no 31st October to join. So I'm the youngest cadet in my batch.
Okay.
तो वो 2 दिन का एक्चुअली 1 साल का फायदा मिल गया आपको.
किसी को nobody could leverage that. Few people could have come in, but everyone else is around that same age group. So when you get there, 16 to 19 for me, 17 to 20 for others, it's an impressionable age.
Okay.
Your divisional officers play a significant role.
True, sir.
In your
Through their conduct,
Choice of
through their
arms.
professionalism, through the way they groom you in what you want to become.
एक्चुअली सर उनका फुटप्रिंट्स, उनका ब्लूप्रिंट जो होता है वो कहीं ना कहीं हमारे
It
embody
they
करते हैं
impress
हमारे.
you because
They
the
impress
best
you.
of the lot, let me tell the audience, the best of the army officers, young army officers, Navy and Air Force officers are posted to NDA so that the cadets can see them, emulate, and get impressed with them, and they want to become
Become
they
something
should
like them.
something like them. They should be the ideal.
Absolutely.
And we used to see our DSS like मतलब यार इसके ऐसे बन जाए, and they were the fittest, they were the handsomest, and they were the most smartest officers I've ever seen.
And I
Without
think
doubt.
काफी सारे officers होते हैं. It is their desire also to go and serve as
Yes.
divisional officers or the squadron
Oh, it is-
commanders
it is considered
in
as a-
NDA,
It is not
which is a privilege actually.
Not a
It's
desire.
a-
It is every extended
It
dream.
wants to be
Yes.
there.
If every extended
Yeah.
given an opportunity would want to be would do that.
A
training.
Divo in NDA. Yeah.
So I had a divisional officer from Kumau, but the last divisional officer was from Meccanf.
He
And he
impressed
was
you.
from Meccanf Recce and Support.
Okay.
Went on to become a general, but he had a significant impact on the way he conducted himself as an officer
Okay.
and a divisional officer both. So that is how then you had this center's visit during the 3rd term. So
Ahmednagar.
so
Ahmednagar visit.
the tanks moving on as if the
power in the tanks, the horsepower.
the earth is shaking,
Shaking.
ICVs.
Yes.
All. So you thought this is where life is.
And armored is, let me tell you, the audience and even Vipul, that armored is something in our times also, that it was something called as a style wala arm. An armored officer will look differently. His walk, his gait, and the way he dresses, the way they dress, they black dangris. Oh, it looks different.
And I must tell, मैं audience को भी बताना चाहूँगा कि कुछ आगे आने वाले episodes में मैं armored के officers को भी बुला रहा हूँ.
Oh,
अपने
wonderful.
मंच पर.
So you'll have get a lot more stories and wonderful
Yes, sir.
things to
Yes,
share.
sir.
So that is how my mind was shaped towards
Armored.
Meccanf.
Meccanf.
So on the day that I was going to, you have the choice of arms. The day you exercise the choice of arms, I was going for choice of arms, and I was in the 2nd block. The 1st block was super block. I was in the 2nd block, and I went. I was going in, and there was a friend of mine again, Amit Oberoi. His father was from Meccanf.
Okay.
So with lot of envy, I told him. He asked me क्या opt कर रहा है. बोला यार मैं तो मैक ऑप्ट कर रहा हूँ, देखो मिलेगा कि नहीं, बिकॉज सर्टेनिटी तो होती नहीं. एंड विथ लॉट ऑफ एनवी आई टोल्ड हिम, तुझे तो मिल जाएगा, तेरा क्या है, योर फादर इज
Parental
फर्स्ट
claim.
गार्ड्स,
Yeah, parental claim.
सो यू गेट अ पेरेंटल क्लेम, तुझे तो मिल जाएगा. बट ही वाज इन एनी केस इन सुपर ब्लॉक, सो ही वुड हैव गॉट व्हाटएवर ही वांटेड. सो ही सेड नहीं, मैं तो मैक ऑप्ट कर ही नहीं रहा. बोला व्हाट? ही सेड फादर ने बोला है सिग्नल्स ऑप्ट करना. सिग्नल्स? मतलब व्हाट इज दिस? आई डिड नॉट नो व्हाट सिग्नल्स वाज टिल दैट टाइम, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट. ही सेड मुझे भी पता नहीं, but my father has said that this is the arm for the future and signals opt karna. So
दुविधा में डाल दिया.
actually, so we met. He goes to his room, I go to my room.
Last impression before
So
you
those
sign.
4-5 minutes, there was only one thought that crossed my mind. In fact, two thoughts that crossed my mind. And the second one I asked him also was, फिर इंजीनियरिंग करने को मिलता है क्या इसमें? So he said, हाँ, इंजीनियरिंग करने को मिलता है. So when I went to my room, there were two thoughts that crossed to my mind. One was first that जहां मैं जाना चाहता हूं वहां पे जो आदमी बैठा है, and he was a brigade commander at that time, he retired as a lieutenant general. That man says to his son, यहाँ मत आओ, वहां जाओ, that is a better place. So maybe I am wrong. And that much experience has some weightage somewhere. So that was the first driver. And second was, since I had disappointed my parents engineering छोड़ के, so I said अगर आर्मर्ड और मेक में नहीं जा रहा तो might as well do this कि इंजीनियरिंग हो जाए. So Amit Oberoi, his father, have a significant role in me changing my thought from MEC to School of Signals in the last minute.
देख रहे हैं आप कितना चंचल माइंड होता है. इसके पीछे की जो स्टोरी सर ने बताई कि कैसे जब वो उस पड़ाव पे पहुंच गए थे जहां पे वो उन्हें डिसीजन लेना था, जहां कहीं वो एक कोर
ऑप्ट करना, अपनी जिंदगी का फ्यूचर डिसाइड करना
जा रहे थे, ऑल ऑफ अ सडन change
हुआ.
So I'm going back to Shakespeare's quotes that we are just simply the puppets and the strings are in somebody else's hand. Exactly यही होता है. और ये जो लक्ष्य मूवी में भी दिखाया था ना, जैसे ऋतिक रोशन का दोस्त बोलता है यार मैं तो फौज ज्वाइन करूंगा, वो भाई अपना लिख के आ जाता है वहां पे, और उसके बाद फाइनली भाई साहब अपने MBA में चले जाते हैं और ये हमारे वॉर लड़ने आ जाते हैं.
इसीलिए मैंने बोला हाथ में सिग्नल्स लिखी हुई थी.
It is destined, and I know Amit sir also. He's a very fine gentleman, and he just left the army, and he's working on an AI. So whenever he's looking, Amit sir, good mention about you.
हमने बात करी एनडीए की, ट्रेनिंग की, कमराडरी की, और सर के ऑप्ट करने की, कोर ऑफ सिग्नल्स की. अब हम सीधा आपको ऐसे मंच पे ले जा रहे हैं जहां पे हमारे ऑडियंस आपसे एक अलग पहलू से कनेक्ट करेंगे. दिस इज द टाइम ड्यूरिंग दी कारगिल. मैं अपने ऑडियंस को बताना चाहूंगा कि सर ड्यूरिंग कारगिल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट सर बहुत ही क्लोजली मॉनिटर भी कर रहे थे, क्लोजली उससे रिलेटेड भी थे. सर आपका कारगिल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के टाइम में क्या लर्निंग्स थी? हाउ इट actually change your course of life in army? What are your learnings, if you can just reflect upon it to our audience?
So Kargil is an operation which is operations are every officer's dream, every फौजी's dream कि मैं कभी जिंदगी में operations का हिस्सा रहूं. कारगिल एक ऐसा ऑपरेशन था जो हमारे कमीशन होते के कुछ साल में ही शुरू हो गया. We got commissioned in June 97 and this started in May 1999, if the timelines I remember very correctly. So I had just completed my BIOS course, got back to the unit, and we were doing a test exercise in the eastern sector. I was deployed in somewhere near Siliguri.
जी sir.
And it was a rigorous 2 months of some exercise. And you came back to the station, and the party was going on कि खत्म हो गया exercise, and in comes a signal that you are going to be mobilized for Kargil. All the things that people learn in book, especially with respect to logistic movement of a formation,
जी sir,
from one place to another, I got to do OJT.
On the job
training.
Starting from train compositions, to loading vehicles on train, to getting to know the category of trains. White flash is something, a category of train which is not stopped anywhere and which goes through at that time at the fastest possible, shortest possible route, fastest possible speed. Over dimension consignments. We have specialist vehicles in communication. These specialist vehicles, when you mount them on the train rakes, the dimension size becomes such that it cannot go on a particular route.
Achha.
So they have to move through a different route so that they reach the destination, where you have the bridge clearances, the overhead clearances clear to accommodate those kind of vehicles. We deflated tires, removed tires, so that to try and bring them from ODC, over dimension consignment, to normal consignment. We could not, so we had moved in two different trains. One was ODC, another was normal trains. So we mobilized in one day all 72 vehicles, because we had 73. I was the MTO at that point of time. I left one vehicle behind, which I discovered when I reached Udhampur.
आंकड़ा याद है आपको?
Fog of war. नहीं, डंडा याद है।
उसका जो डांट पड़ी हो
डंडा याद है।
आई थिंक हर जगह डंडा ही काम करता है.
So you came down to Siliguri overnight. First, get all of them serviced because not every vehicle runs every
Right.
day. Get all of them serviceable. Come down in a convoy down in the middle of the night to the railway station. Load these vehicles on the trains. Move these trains from the Eastern Theatre to Jammu. BD Wadi was the station where we detrained. And then again move from there on road towards J&K. Fortunately for me, unfortunately for me, whatever you might like to call, there was 6 div which came from Bareilly, which was also mobilized, which landed 2 hours before us. They got inducted straight into Kargil, and we had to go and get deployed as reserves at Udhampur. So that was my movement. The frenzy that I saw of the common man, the love for armed forces that I saw. We crossed North Bihar. If you've seen that area or if you've heard of that area,
No, sir.
these people are the poorest people in this country. That guy did not have enough clothes to cover himself, but he was moving around with a tea kettle in his hand, serving tea to the entire train when the train stopped.
कितना बड़ा दिल होता है ना.
Wherever you're going, राखियां यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक बंधी हुई थी. Both arms here to. I had only heard कि 71 में ऐसा कुछ हुआ था. None of the officers with me had ever seen those kind. 30 years was a gap almost. I had only heard what it is. And you're experiencing it in real time. Come to Muzaffarnagar. The people or the baniye, if you permit, not for want of a better word, or businessmen,
Yeah.
in normal scenario, they'll not give you 1 rupee discount. They packed the trains with kaju, kishmish, good, all these kind of things are packed in the train. The expectation of the common man was, and in fact, the admiration for army, the izzat for army, that makes your whole life. Do whatever, take away my life for the country, doesn't matter. That gets you there. So that one thing experience that you had, it was tremendous. I was fortunate to go in as part, since we are reserves, 1 detachment replacement. I went to Kargil, but I came back immediately. It was a heavy replacement. I came back immediately. So that much for Kargil. Mobilization from one sector to another, the nuance of mobilization, and the love that this country has for its army.
That's phenomenal.
I think,
yeah, it is. It's
कहीं आपने हमें टेलीपोर्ट कर दिया. आजकल कई बार मेरा भी मेजर जनरल डीके मेहता के साथ पिछला पॉडकास्ट हुआ था, एंड आई वाज जस्ट हैविंग अ वेरी इमोशनल टॉक. ही इज आल्सो बैटल कैजुअलिटी, एंड हमारे आसपास न्यूज़ आती रहती है. कभी एक सोल्जर को किक पड़ रही होती है किसी से. उस समय एक धारणा अलग बनती है, एक आक्रोश की धारणा बनती है. बट जिस तरह आपने हमें फिर टेलीपोर्ट करा, हम वहीं वापस चले जाते हैं उस युद्ध क्षेत्र में जहाँ पे हमारी जो जनता है, हमारी जो ऑडियंस है, हमारे जो सिटीजन्स हैं, उनका जो बेपना प्यार, that makes us really strong, inside. And in fact, sir, अभी मैंने recently this 120 बहादुर मूवी देखी थी. It is a very very simple depiction of जो रजांगला में हुआ. And मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ सर कि मैं और मेरी वाइफ वो मूवी देख रहे थे, एंड मैं जिंदगी में इतना नहीं रोया. उसमें कुछ ड्रामेटिक्स नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है.
emotions,
and you actually connect with in the truest form and sense कि एक सोल्जर को क्या क्या चीजों से क्या क्या सैक्रिफाइस करने पड़ते हैं, किस चीज से गुजरना पड़ता है. वो आखिरी बार जब हाथ में पूरा खून होता है, जब खून के साथ वो अपने फैमिली की फोटो देख रहा होता है और उसे पता होता है वो नहीं मिल पाएगा.
In fact, you touched upon this 120
Unbelievable.
We were talking before 21 के बारे में बात कर रहे थे. My course, we have 26 martyrs.
26 martyrs.
And
आप 90th कोर्स की बात कर रहे हैं.
26 martyrs. Famously, there was a lot of debate going on social media जहाँ पे फोटो डाल रहे थे. Lot many people were debating डालना चाहिए नहीं डालना चाहिए. Our WhatsApp पे हमारे कोर्स का जो DP है is these 26 martyrs. Manoj Pandey Paramvir Chakra is my course. And in fact, there was this movie on Vikram Batra.
Yes.
The characters around Vikram Batra, Jamwal, Chatterjee,
They
who've
of
been
course.
part of the same thing. One
Okay.
Mahavir Chakra, all
ये
of them,
ये दिल मांगे मोर.
all of them
Are your course
are
mates?
my course mates. So the kind of contribution that at least I feel that my course has done
To this
with
nation.
blood
Destination.
and life
It's phenomenal.
makes me stand with pride.
Of course.
The
sir.
pride that I wear on my sleeve today because of 90th course, sacrifice of someone else, mere association.
मैं उस परवरदिगार से मेरी ये इल्तिजा है कि 90th कोर्स के जितने भी ऑफिसर्स हैं वो इस पॉडकास्ट को ज़रूर सुनिएगा, ज़रूर देखिएगा. इतना ऐसा लग रहा है आपकी जो वाइब्स है ना वो यहाँ पे मेरी बॉडी के अंदर आ चुकी है और मैं इसको ना शब्दों में बयान नहीं कर सकता.
And you should always remember your fallen heroes because they got that opportunity to give their lives for the country, which everybody in army, when we are wearing a uniform, that is our dream. If we
Yes.
can give our life for the country, they were the blessed ones who gave their life to this great
जिनको
nation.
ये मौका मिला.
Yes.
True, sir.
Okay, sir. Now a lot of emotions and sentiments, and we should come to your bread and butter in Core of Signals. So you must have gone through bio course and the degree course, and then you were posted in Army headquarters. And I was also fortunate to meet you there, and I was part of the NFS directorate. So I just wanted to know, and I want you to tell the audience this network for Spectrum, which is a tri-service network, one of its kind, and it has actually changed the way Army communicates. How did it design and architecture, and what technologies were used, which actually delivered critical communication to the tri-services?
टेक्नोलॉजी आज के युग में बैटलफील्ड बन चुका है और एक टाइम पे सिर्फ सपोर्ट होता था.
Yes, now it is the main force.
You can't think of a battle today without technology. Before I answer you this
Yes,
question
yes.
pointedly, I'll just get back to two things. When I was doing my degree course and I was preparing for MTech because I was retained after degree to teach students. This you have this.
Okay, I will interject here. I had the fortune and honor to be taught by sir. He got retained after the degree, and I was fourth or fifth term in my degree course, and he was my guru. I always call him as a guru, and he's taught me a subject. It was a minor subject, but he has been my guru. I should always value that.
That's very kind of Siddharth. But this cycle, I'm appreciative of this cycle. People who do well in degree are retained at the
Indeed.
college as instructors.
जी सर.
Again, two motivators. One, they did well, so they can probably teach
Teach well.
immediate people
Yes.
well. Second, they themselves are looking forward for their career progression, which is either they want to do staff college or MTech. I was aspiring for MTech. So you get to, while you are teaching, the kind of doubts that come from students, otherwise you would never have got them. You would have probably just studied through the book. Addressing that prepares you far more better for the
Your
master's
future. Yeah.
futures. During this course, when I was the instructor, there was another instructor who had done his MTech, like he did his MTech and came back as an instructor.
As an instructor. Yeah.
There was another instructor who had done his MTech and would come back and he was very revered, especially for his knowledge. He asked Alok, what is the objective of BTech and MTech? Now, if you ask this question to anyone, and I have my doubts if even my course mates in Core of Signals, or many in Core of Signals, will have an answer to this. Forget the academia. And the very thoughtful thing that he told me, which stuck to me. First was objective of BTech that he told. I said, as usual, sir, technology समझ में आ जाता है, ये हो जाता है. But he said there are just two objectives. Objective of BTech should be, you should be able to understand a technical paper.
True.
If you're able to do that after a BTech, you've achieved your aim. An objective of MTech should be that a vendor sitting on the other side should not be able to fool you by throwing terminologies, jargons, technical specifications, where you are not able to decipher which technology or which piece of equipment is most suited for your user requirement.
Correct.
So basically what he was telling me was your project, technical project handling should come to a level.
Through MTech.
If you've done MTech, you should be proficient at technical project handling to deliver user requirements. That is what was
And
telling
design the military networks, which are very critical in nature,
So-
in a way so that it is reliable, secure, fail-safe, and that is the MTech knowledge. That is what sir is trying to.
So when I did my MTech, I was posted to After that, I was posted to again back to Siliguri in an engineering regiment. But because of my past association with projects, I was called back to the
Network for
NFS
spectrum.
cell, which was there,
Hmm.
to draft this tender for network for spectrum. So that is the time you went through number of vendor presentations, because if this is a big piece. You look at 55,000 kilometer optical fiber kilometer backbone, 12,000 kilometer of optical fiber kilometers, optical fiber cable as access to total 67,000 optical fiber kilometers. What you're talking of only at the physical layer. At that point in time, to put things in perspective, and I'm talking 2007-8, Vodafone Idea had 70,000 kilometers of optical fiber cable, and Indian Army was looking at 67,000 in one go.
Sir, let me just bring this to the audience. Many in the audience do not know that Army has its own network. Like BSNL or Airtel, we have our own network, totally owned, totally laid by the Army, from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, east, northeast to the west. We own it, we run it, and we design and operate the network. So back to you, sir.
I think this goes for the Navy also.
Yeah.
We also have the naval-centric network.
Yeah.
Yes.
So right now, Navy had naval-centric networks, Air Force had Air Force-centric network, Army had Army-centric network.
I think Air Force were the pioneers, if I'm
No.
not wrong.
No,
We
Okay,
were the
Army
pioneers.
was-
Army was the
the
pioneers.
AWAN.
I can claim by being pioneer. In fact, I'll say all three there was simultaneity in the whole process, for the simple reason that NFS was a fallout of spectrum surrender.
Yes.
Army
Yes.
surrendered 5 plus 5 megahertz of spectrum for proliferation of 2G. Because in lieu, you got
We got a
this
network for spectrum.
network for
That is
spectrum.
why
That
the
is the
name
name, network for spectrum.
अच्छा इसकी जगह वो लिया तो वो फॉर स्पेक्ट्रम मिल गया.
Actually,
so then what was this network supposed to be used for? Not one person, so it was for all three. So if you see, NFS cell was the central coordinating agency which was doing with
for Army,
DoD.
Navy, Air Force. Yeah.
But you interacting with Navy on one side, Air Force on another side. So you were having this homogeneous kind of a
Tri-services mindset.
kind mindset.
My,
was there.
my input, my tidbit in this. Actually, I was the joint director of NFS that time when this entire work
Gamut
process
of
was
things
going
were
in.
happening.
And we already have Army since 80s, end of 80s, 90s. We have the ASCON network, Army Static Switch Communication Network, which is again, at least in northern India, was totally laid
Under its
fiber
portfolio.
we already had, and we had come to Army phase 2. Phase 2 was there, phase 3 was coming. So the Air Force said we are working on these lines. सर एक काम करें, आपका ऑलरेडी एक नेटवर्क है और आप उसको एनहांस कर रहे हो, एटलीस्ट हमें वो पोर्शन जल्दी दे दीजिए so that we can have our own AFNet, and that's why AFNet came first before so NFS had the naval, Air Force and Army component. We allowed Air Force to launch first because we were already having our network and we were just upgrading our network.
That's why this doubt came in my mind, because
Yes.
when we were also working on the naval-centric network,
Yes.
we were the last, but
No, I
would
used to-
not take the claim of fame.
In fact, AFNet and NUNET both rolled
Both.
out ahead of
Army's
NFS.
NFS.
The complete, for the simple reason that these were identified few locations, not many locations. So these are identified locations, and very few. Peacetime and wartime, not much difference happens in the location, and you could hire bandwidth between these point
These
to
lines.
point. So access was
And they were
developed.
smaller networks, sir.
So
Dekha jai, their networks were
access were
smaller.
developed.
Yes.
And connected through hired bandwidth.
Hired
So
bandwidth.
they sprung up before
Earlier.
This came later. Now this was not just optical fiber cable. This had another element of space, another element of microwave, a integrated monitoring network. The optical fiber cable was supposed to be self-healing, encryption on top of that. So this was a 7-layer network. If I break it down to 7 layers, we did the entire bulwark in 2009, late 2009 to 2011. 1 year I was there with the NFSL when we were drafting this. This thing was tendered. You learn through your mistakes. When you tendered, all of a sudden you realize that there's no participation happening, for the simple reason that encryption would come from only one source.
Which was?
Bell and
It had to be
ITI.
Bell, ITI, and it has to be SAG approved. So private players did not have access to this.
Correct.
So private participation, while available at all other levels because of encryption, was not able to participate. So based on that representation, we said, okay, we have to remove encryption from this. The next thing was, you saw during that time, a lot of activity was going on. You saw that projects get stalled because of terrain. local conditions. So then you said if you award the entire project to one vendor, and if that gets stalled, your entire project is stalled.
True.
So you broke this
Yeah.
into 5 different parts. So NFS became 6 packages.
Okay.
In terms of more than 6 packages, at least I'm talking right now only at the optical fiber cable level.
Basically, the delivery model was changed.
At the optical fiber cable, I'm only talking about what I'm
Layout
there
of
right
the
now.
optical fiber cable.
It became 6 packages. 5
Yes.
was the 5 command, 6 was the encryption on top. This was the when you broke this, then you did 5 more different kind of tenders. You suddenly realize that it is not good enough just to break the physical layer, because then on top of that there is a control layer and a management layer.
Ji.
If you break that, you will have multiple OEMs coming in, they would not speak to each other. So then you said, okay, let the physical layer be in 5 parts, bring the network layer separately with one OEM, a management layer separately with another OEM. Encryption we will bring in. That is how we brought in private participation at scale. And companies like HFCL, Sterlite, their cash books changed because of projects like this.
मैं ना एक्चुअली एम्पलीफाई करके एक क्वेश्चन पूछने वाला था कि फ्रॉम अ सोल्जर्स पर्सपेक्टिव ये जो प्रोजेक्ट्स होते हैं ये आपको कैसे आपके दायरे को चेंज करते हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ ऑपरेशनल रेडीनेस, प्रिपेयर्डनेस and communications actually on ground.
Yes.
I think to some extent I can understand it's already answered. But अगर इसमें आप कुछ और amplify करना चाहेंगे from a soldier's perspective.
Just augment coming to the place that you mentioned. When he came to the NFS cell,
जी sir.
I was sitting in Signal 7. Now Signal 7 is in Signals Directory is a section which deals with all projects that are going on in the core of Signals. And when I came to core of Signals, Signal 7, I came with a vengeance.
Vengeance?
Yeah, vengeance. 2013 I came there. So I'm talking of vengeance of almost, if I can say, just after
4 years.
2013 I came, after MTech I came to Signal 7 2013, December. And so you can, a decade plus of vengeance in project management.
Acha.
Anywhere you initiate a project, if it goes to Signal 7, it will not happen in a lifetime. Not happen in a lifetime in that unit. So if you started, the turnaround time for that project to get completed was more than 3.5 years. So that was I came back with a vengeance, because I said, what can I do to improve things over here?
Okay.
To my credit or to my dismay, no matter what I tried, I could only curtail that cycle from 3.5 to about 2 years.
So that's actually still phenomenal, sir.
Phenomenal in the sense that, yes, if someone just came to a unit and started a project,
Ji.
Before he went, he would probably see it start fructifying. Not finishing, but probably. So when you start something, you see its finish. It gives you a lot of satisfaction, which is what we get in case of NFS. You sat and wrote those tenders, learned from the vendors, understood what their viewpoint was, incorporated what was necessary, and then tendered it, learned the way that classical project management need not work when it comes at scale. You tendered it. Now you see it being implemented. It was a difficult thing to open one video stream from Nathula to the army headquarters. We had rationed video streams because of the ability to
limited bandwidth.
And the ability to engineer networks in the forward areas. Now, open as many streams as you want.
True, sir.
The C4 ISR portion has got a backbone which can support probably bandwidth requirement for a decade further to come in. That is not a project. It is transforming battlefield and future-proofing battlefield. The importance of it may not be as much as because given the utilization that you see today. But as and when you bring in more edge devices, IoT, AI at the edge, data centers, man-packed data centers, more data to be consumed, your nervous system behind is geared to handle that. That will never be a bottleneck that I can't process this data. That is the transformation this network has brought in.
I think in my last podcast I discussed and mentioned that the core of signals is the nervous system of the Indian Army. आज उसके और हम माइक्रो डिटेल्स में गए जहाँ पे सर ने नर्वस सिस्टम ऑफ कोर ऑफ सिग्नल्स के बारे में भी जिक्र करा. And this actually amplifies the sense of, from where the staff requirements are put in, from where the technologies are, grasped, and that eventually happens first in the forces. And this is tried and tested. Market में जो technology आती है वो हमारे फौज में आ चुकी होती है. So somewhere, ये जो understanding of our officers and men to gear up to that level, to have that kind of perception and understand the technology. You talk about IoT devices, everything. Now the next phase is all about AI, drones. Drones are having payloads of AI. It's phenomenal, sir. And, हमारे लोगों को क्या लगता है कि एक फौजी है तो बस एक बंदूक उठाता है, गोली चलाता है, उसको बस आना चाहिए सेफ से कैसे उसको एक्टिव करना है मोड में, उसके पीछे क्या क्या चल रहा है. आई थिंक इन पॉडकास्ट के जरिए ऑडियंस को ये सब चीजें समझने को मिलेंगी. और मेरी यही कोशिश रहेगी कि जैसे मैंने एक कोर ऑफ सिग्नल्स के ऑफिसर को बुलाया, आज मैं दूसरे ऑफिसर के साथ बैठा हूं, अब हम इसको कंटिन्यू करेंगे ताकि एट अ डिफरेंट स्टेज ऑफ मैनेजमेंट, कोई एक हेल्प पे बैठा है, कोई एक ग्राउंड पे बैठा है, फ्रॉम अ कर्नल टू अ लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल, उसके जो अलग अलग रोल्स होते हैं, जो लिमिटेशंस होती हैं, जो चैलेंजेस होते हैं. जैसे आपने जिक्र करा 3.5 साल से आप 2 साल में लेके आए. मुझे पता है, मैंने स्टाफ रिक्वायरमेंट्स वाली फेज से किसी चीज को एक्चुअली फ्रक्टिफाई होते हुए शायद नहीं देखा, सम ऑफ द नेवल प्रोजेक्ट्स. बट हमारी ऑडियंस जानती है कि हमारी जो जिंदगी होती है ना, वो एक और चैलेंजेस के साथ होती है जिसमें हमारे ट्रांसफर्स भी होते हैं. Right, and that is part and parcel and accepted now.
In your tenure, to finish a project which you started is again a big thing. And secondly, the audience should realize कि Ministry of Defense से funds आते हैं, आर्मी को allocate होते हैं, उस funds को genuinely utilize करना, उसको implement करना and deliver in the army network is the biggest challenge. Is the biggest challenge. And like Vipul has brought out, that AI is something which actually is changing the entire ecosystem. I will come to the next question of mine. Is in 2019 and 20, you established this AI Center of Excellence in Military College of Telecom Engineering. Please tell something about it, because उस समय AI was not in the buzz as it is today in the environment.
I'll take off from where Vipul left. Incidentally, he touched upon it. कि हम सोचते हैं कि आर्मी में बंदूक चलाना काम है या ऑटो सोबे करना काम है. ग्लोबली आर्म्ड फोर्सेस हैव बीन जननी बोलते हैं, हैव बीन द जननी फॉर टेक्नोलॉजी. देयर इज अ रिक्वायरमेंट दैट is felt, God knows why, in the armed forces first, because maybe it's a matter of survival or maybe it's a matter of reach.
It is indeed.
So a requirement that is felt, you start working upon it. You may not have all the knowledge with you, so you share this requirement to the academia. The academia starts working on it. The academia, after work, research, etc., comes up with some kind of prototype, some kind of solutioning. That is absorbed by the industry. The industry comes up with a solution, and that solution is supposed to meet this requirement that was initially projected. To give an indicative timeline, when I was again post Kargil, in fact in Op Parakram, there was this idea when the balloon was to go up and you were to go across, and I used to think we have this concept of rolling communication grids, that vehicle had to go to establish communication. So I used to think, why not paradrop or airdrop a network which is self-healing, communicates with each other. So I'm talking here 2002, that is when Op Parakram happened. Somewhere around June, July, the balloon was to go up for the second time, somewhere around that time. Cut to 2007.
5 years.
I'm in the Indian Institute of Technology doing my MTech at Delhi. The project that I'm working on is what I thought at that point of time, wireless sensor networks. So there's nothing but small communication nodes. You have multiple paths, they communicate. Let's keep the technology out of it. Who communicate with each other, self-healing kind of a network. One node goes down, it starts talking, and you can actually drop it. This is what I'm doing it at the concept stage. What I thought there, the mathematics behind it, the engineering behind it, the physics behind it, this is what I'm doing research at that point. It's part of the larger research. I'm doing a simple part. Cut to 2015. We have a TCS in Signals Directorate.
Tactical communication
systems, which is talking of communication systems in the tactical area, is discussing absorption of
this technology.
2002, 2015. The lead time from someone like me thinking, or someone else would have thought before me,
the think tanks,
at least my relatable lead time is 13 years. It's kind of constant coming to AI. What you asked me about AI. Not many people know. First center of excellence on AI was raised by Indian Army, and that to Core of Signals at the Military College of Telecommunication Engineering. AI was supposed to be a buzzword at that time, emerging technology. Everyone wanted to, at least in the armed forces fraternity, everybody wanted to leverage upon it, and we did not even know how it worked, except for foundational concepts of image. I was looking at computer vision as a solution. Foundational concepts of image processing that I studied in my MTech, and communication. Both found. One is correlation, other is image processing. If you merge both of them, that is what becomes computer vision in AI. That helped me understand this thing. To process, you need something called a GPU. You did not know We were worried, why does it not work on a CPU? Again, lot of time you learn from people on the other side of the table. Then you interacted with the industry, you realize there's something called a GPU, and then you need a GPU to process your AI frameworks and to deliver. Cut the long story short, first center of excellence of AI was raised in MCT. I was fortunate to be associated with it. It is not good enough to raise a center of excellence. You have to show that this has potential. Things can be done. So when you had multiple second center of excellence for 5G was there, center of excellence for cybersecurity was there, center of excellence for telecom was there, center of excellence for AI had come up. The rest three had proven themselves by that time. This had to prove that this can be. So you're looking at use cases, what can be done. So you picked up an AK-47, trained it on its various images, about 20-25 odd images, and then you said, let's run it through a mob in J&K. 95% confidence level, it could detect a person with AK-47 in the Ferrari because the butt could be seen or outline could be seen. That was the first deliverable that we did. The second we did was sentiment analysis. At that time, YouTube, X, Twitter, that time, feeds were available, location and what text was given. So if some kind of activity is happening or some kind of mobilization on WhatsApp, like people have, चलो आ जाओ आज यहाँ पे इस मस्जिद को बचाते हैं या इस मंदिर को बचाते हैं. If some kind of mobilization was about to happen and it was happening through the social media, you could pick it up. You could pick up that here the sentiment is changing against the state. So these were the small, you call it small it big, low-hanging fruits that we could touch at that point in time to say there is use case for. The next big use case was in the field of medicine, but then there are issues with respect to privacy concerns, etc., where you can actually forecast that are you likely to suffer a particular disease. So that is how the story of AI.
I think the audience should realize that getting technology, which is a buzz in the or upcoming technology, into armed forces is the biggest challenge because your resources are limited, your funding is limited. Getting a new technology in the armed force scenario for a specific purpose of warfare is a challenge which sir was just trying to.
I'll just add one more thing. The thing that I told 13-year timeline in one particular technology. 2017 was when I was talking of AI, when we were doing this, playing around with AI as a requirement in armed forces. Today we are sitting in 2026. Another 10 years, almost a decade. When the world, at least the world, you can go back 1.5 years. So around 6.5 years lead time from armed forces absorbing AI for their use case to its commercialization.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just interject here. Sir, मैं अपने audience के लिए एक simple terms में I'd like to ask you, how is Indian Army leveraging AI in today's world? When you talk about automated drones, you talk about predictive logistics. It can be anything more advanced. आप बताइए सर कैसे?
From whatever is available in the open domain, you leveraged AI in Opsindur. You leveraged AI for multi-sensor fusion, which is called multi.
Can you just touch upon a little, thing on Opsindur? I mean, how we have leveraged. I mean, the first test case itself.
The word that I use was multi-sensor fusion.
Multi-sensor fusion.
So you have a number of IoT device sensors ahead, each one of them giving different kind of input.
Correct.
In AI, classical AI parlance, it is called multimodal AI. Otherwise, it's multi-sensor fusion. You get these sensor inputs. The inputs are in gigabits.
Correct.
In fact, the overall inputs in terms of the data that would have flown off Sindoor itself would be terabits. That kind of data would have flown. Humanly impossible to analyze that data to bring out insights.
True, sir.
So when you do multi-sensor fusion, get multiple sensor input at a particular place, analyze it using AI to get possible courses of action, possible way forwards, get insights from it that what is likely to happen. And you're not correlating, when you do multi-sensor fusion, you're not correlating from one single source of truth. There are multiple sensors which are being correlated to say, okay, what if this person is saying something, this other person is corroborating to it, or there's a third person. So the degree of certainty changes, the authenticity of the information changes, and then you leverage it to decide your op plans, next targets, whether offensive, defensive, whichever way. So huge. Now, if it was the aerial platform, those aerial platforms were seeing certain things. This is being supported by certain things on ground. There was something which was supposed to be integrated for air defense. So if you integrate the whole story,
the entire gamut of things.
The entire gamut, so that comes with the multi-sensor fusion. and based on which the commanders in the room or the man in front both have equal, they're differentiated but common aim. Correct. And capability. Based on that, someone takes a decision, someone takes an action. So there's significant use of AI.
I think I need to emphasize this, especially if you see our borders from northern sector to the till Rajasthan, got so many sensors deployed at continuously, and they are sending so much of data to the decision makers that they have to decide किस डेटा को कोलाबरेट करके क्या एक्शन लेना है. एंड व्हेन यू टॉक ऑफ नेटवर्क सेंट्रिक वॉरफेयर व्हिच वाज वेरी prominently shown in Op Sindoor, that these sensors are giving an input कि कोई मिसाइल पाकिस्तान से आ रही है या कोई एक मूवमेंट पाकिस्तान से आ रहा है, at the headquarters to take a decision कि हमें क्या missile fire करनी in response or an anti-drone system. That is where this network-centric warfare and AI comes into play. So, in simple words, that is what.
So, would you want to use this much talked about S400 against a drone?
Yes.
This was something that was very common thing that S400 use कर दिया, सारे S400 use कर दिए drone मारने में. पाकिस्तान ने तो हमको मतलब what are we? We are no good. This is what is the huge buzz going around everywhere, which is far from the truth. The truth is there is competence to differentiate what is the attack vector and what is the defense vector required for it, and that is exactly what was done. So not everything
systems, yes.
To the dismay of people, not everything has been blown away. Things have been put to judicious use, and that was again enabled by, to some extent, by AI. Drone swarms is something that people have been talking about for quite some time.
Everywhere across the globe now.
So now use of AI is no longer relevant as much relevant in drone swarms as much as in counter drone operations.
Precisely.
Can you amplify this a little bit?
So only a few days back, we demonstrated a capability of vehicle-mounted counter-drone capability. The multiple drones operating it's a wireless medium at the end of the day, different frequencies. If I can pick up these frequencies, and each one of them have, depending on the cost of the drone, they have frequency hopping capability also. If I can pick up this frequency and on the fly keep seeing where it is hopping.
Yeah.
So that's a continuous change in frequency that of operation. If you're able to track that,
the sequence of frequency.
If you're able to track that, you can probably push a high power jammer to block its own transmissions. So when, to give you a simple analogy, you're in your car talking to someone on phone and someone is continuously honking. You can't make sense of what is being spoken on the phone.
Okay.
So now if you put that the drone's controls can be taken over, that if you can't take over, at least the drone is no longer in their control. The drone is listening to what you are speaking continuously.
Correct.
So now the drone doesn't know whether to attack me or to someone else. You can use that same aerial platform.
Either you take over or let the drone go down.
I'm getting a little confused here. You said you basically give high transmission beams. So when you are actually targeting inborn drones and trying to confuse them, are you using narrow beams to some extent to ensure that that particular drone, which is the adversary's drone, that picks up your data? Or is it like you just throw a big loud transmission across the entire border?
No, so it's not a high power. Whenever your power is high, it will never be wideband.
Yes.
It will be narrow band.
It will become narrow band. One. Second, if you look at most drones globally, they're not restricted to a particular band of interest. Most of them are actually sitting in the ISM band.
Okay.
Some of them specifically for defense use, which have been made, are sitting in respective bands of operations as decided by the manufacturer at that point of time. But when you run a scanner of frequency, it's called normal receiver, it is
spectrum analyzer.
Normal receiver. When you run that, you come to know transmissions are happening at which spectrums. So if I know that someone is speaking at this volume or at this frequency, I can speak louder on that frequency. So if I am talking to you and Siddharth decides to start talking loudly, you will not be able to make out what
you'll not get the signals from the control. Yeah.
So once I've disrupted that, I have actually disrupted your mission mode. Until you're autonomous.
Obviously.
So if you don't get anything in autonomous, you can do certain things. That's a different story altogether. True. But one is disruption of your communication. I'm disrupting your command and control. I'm disrupting what you're sending, so I can even disrupt that. I can even take over your controls and use it against your own owner. All this, again, so many drones happening across the length and breadth. Analyze this data to take a decision which to target, which not to target. All that is leveraging the power
So
of
this
AI.
is something like electronic warfare.
It is electronic warfare. In fact, that is the next big thing that is the future of the world, that the world is going to encounter. You have seen cyber warfare. The next thing that is going to reshape world is the ability to withstand electronic warfare.
Sir, has it got anything to do with what the Americans have used? Some kind of jammers while the Venezuelan president was captured. They were they used a word called collaborator. I don't recall the word.
Collaborative communication.
No,
What?
no.
Okay.
What if
There was a device which actually was used to
if you
jam
hear,
the
if you
entire.
hear the personal staff of the president, they said we could not hear
Okay.
anything for a
Yes,
particular
yes,
moment.
yes.
I think
And
has it
for
got
the
So
duration.
I think
So
what
it's-
he's trying to mention, and I've also read, it says that they are passing on certain frequency with high power, which affects the functioning of the brain.
So that
Yes.
is where I am coming. There is a very again, it's been there in the books for quite some time.
Okay.
Many countries reportedly have this capability.
Many countries.
Many countries, many advanced countries
Subvertly,
reportedly
they do
have
not
this capability.
advertise. Yeah.
It is called an EMP, electromagnetic pulse.
Pulse.
If you are able to generate an EMP of a particular frequency and a particular power, depending on the power for a particular duration, you will be able to affect the electronics which operate this entire gamut of things, based on which AI runs, based on which normal communication happens. This is exactly what has been, to my understanding, limited understanding, this is exactly what has been used. A limited EMP targeting the communication systems in and around the area of the presidential.
But sorry to interrupt here. When we talk about the so-called MIL standards, we do certain shieldings also. I mean, it's literally difficult to understand that, for a presidential so-called security regime, they have not used MIL grades, shielding. And obviously, sir, I've studied a little bit of EMPs during my course in Pune. And this has been there since decades. It's just that on a very practical scenario, this thing came up in a very recent news. और वैसे भी सर अमेरिका तो सारे एक्स्ट्रा टेरेस्ट्रियल लोग सारे aliens वहीं पे पहले आते हैं.
You will be surprised that the state of this awareness of technology utilization as an offensive, and this kind of offensive ability is very low for multiple reasons. Some can't afford to be, even if they know, they can't afford to develop counter systems. Others don't know, or if they know, they say it's such a low probability event, forgetting that this low probability event has a very high impact.
True.
So the risk quotient is high, and that is why the president went away. The risk was that low probability and impact, the product of which is called risk. So a very low probability and a very high impact event, the risk is actually high. But no, people only look at the probability. And in many specialists protection groups, they are largely being driven by commercial off-the-shelf solution because of maintainability, reusability, everything.
Which is the biggest bottleneck.
The level of hardening is not there. Only hardening that is probably given on top is a layer of encryption. So when commercial off-the-shelf equipment is available, it is prone to be disrupted.
I don't know, somewhere is ऐसा एक थोड़ा सा मैं और टेंजेंट जा रहा हूँ सर. It's getting now interesting. Sir, हम कहीं ना कहीं क्या डरते हैं प्रॉपर ऑटोमेटेड या ऑटोनॉमस मोड में जाने से. We always keep our the so-called battle regimed equipment in so-called semi-automatic mode. I mean, at least few of the forces have that maybe mindset.
Technically, autonomous is possible. There's nothing stopping. I personally feel,
sir, most of our warheads are actually, they have the autonomous modes.
But you have a
but we don't use
So
it.
that is
We don't do it,
I
sir.
personally feel, that is my personal, because when you say autonomous, there's a word called agency that gets associated.
True.
You give agency for action. On behalf of me, the device can act. The culpability remains with me. Would I want the device to act independently? In certain situations, no. If you look at the way, a classical case of it was, I don't know, there was from an Air Force station, a missile went into our adversaries.
Yes. Yeah, BrahMos, yes.
No,
yes.
So from an Air Force station, peacetime missile went into an adversary's area.
Okay.
Thank God it didn't have a payload.
So it was kind of a autonomous malfunction. So if you give agency and malfunction happens, look at the ramification that could have happened.
That is the reason why we always keep talking about indigenization.
So even if you have indigenization, you need to have a man. in
Man
the middle.
behind the machine. Yeah.
But the nuclear codes are controlled by the president of the US. He
Yes.
carries it with him.
Yes.
That is so called.
That's the man in the middle.
behind the machine.
For critical things, you need to have man in the middle. That is what my thought is. Even if you look at the regulatory framework that is coming across the world everywhere, the EU AI Act talks of 4 levels of regulation, where level 4 is a no-go zone, level 3 is man in the middle. Level 1 and 2 is something that you can play around with. India's AI Act is largely is aligned with the EU AI Act, where it has more room for innovation to be done. So globally, you are not going to leave autonomous vehicles as a word to function independently.
आपने autonomous vehicle की बात करी, and now the biggest debate that is happening about is that switch, the inter switch which has been put in the cars, for an autonomous driven
Operation.
car. The control is obviously in somebody's hands.
That's a backdoor. That's a very standard thing. Anyone who makes a hardware is a backdoor will be there. And I'll give you examples again. We are hearing from. I went to the Cyber Week. Occasionally go to the Cyber Week, which happens in Israel. I went to the Cyber Week last year, and they were discussing case of Tesla.
Yeah.
Autonomous Tesla issues where it can be manipulated. Simple thing as projection of a speed limit on a road. You have this projectors which children play with.
Yes.
Those laser projectors जिसपे images बनते हैं.
Yes.
Put a speed limit of 40 का sign and project it on a road. Tesla moving at 100 comes to a stop. Well, it can't differentiate that image of 40 speed limit put there
Whether
to a
it's
projector
illusion or reality.
or reality. Ambulance flashes, police flashes, the red and blue spectrum is the worst insofar as the cameras which are mounted on the vehicle to cause interference. It gets confused what to do.
Right.
So these are the kind of things that, and
These
you
are
don't need to be a technocrat for it. In Poland, trains were brought to emergency stop using one RF transmitter by a 17-year-old who was experimenting with transmitters.
These are rare incidents, but they actually change the domain. Now, I want to come into this concept now from info warfare, like cyber warfare. Now, you tell me one thing, that if we see our adversaries, China, who invest so much in the cyber attacks, even Pakistan, and you have some hand of CIA in Bangladesh and Pakistan. There were certain incidents like our power grid getting, affected by some cyber attack. The airports in Delhi, there was an incident in Bombay. These cyber attacks keep happening. The agencies do not report them or blow them up, but they are a check to our existing systems. Are we cyber attack, shielded, or we are geared to have such cyber attacks? And what happens when this cyber attack happens just during the, say, Op Sindoor or such a war scenario?
So Op Sindoor, they were reported 4 million cyber attacks.
Okay.
Which happened
4 million cyber attacks.
Which happened on our infrastructure during those 3 days.
वो पाकिस्तान ने किया था या चाइना ने किया था?
Cyber attacks, तो attributability होती नहीं. There's no attributability. They come from most of
the dark web.
Most of them come from attributability goes towards a friendly foreign
And
nation.
these cyber attackers, they are not, loyal to any country. They are hired for that act.
So coming to the cyber attack part of it, in the old eras, the era of Kargil, era of Parakram, you had possibility of physical wars, or physical war had to be declared to be at war. We are at war as we sit today, continuously at war. And this happens because of the digital ecosystem that has sprung across the world.
True, sir.
I am continuously at war with my adversaries. This war is, some of it is reconnaissance, some of it is the monetary power. If I can degrade your monetary or global monetary standing, you are as it is on your knees. In fact, Parakram, there's one very interesting incident, that interesting takeaway was, if you have endurance enough, which is in our case we talked of 1 year, to tire out your adversary monetarily, because there is cost of war, there is a cost of mobilization. If Pakistan had to pay its men, officers, troops some amount as cost of mobilization and maintain them in that operational area vis-a-vis India. Our resilience, monetary resilience was higher compared to Pakistan. And look at the downfall of Pakistan monetarily after that. Of Parakram, we did not take territory, we did not invade, but we weakened them monetarily so much that after that they have not been able to recover. For that, we had to use mobilization of resources. But today, that can be done without mobilization of resources in today's era cyber attack. Now, where does cyber attacks become, or cyber warfare becomes most critical? Cyber warfare becomes most critical not in this small corporate wars कि आज आपका वेबसाइट डिफेस कर दिया और आपका किसी से कुछ पैसे रैंसम ले लिए. These are most insignificant. When nation states come into play, you are targeting critical infrastructure. Imagine if one train can be stopped by just turning that green light to red light.
Red light.
If that train stops, all trains along that route come to a stop because railways is a system of functioning where you have only one train in a block and a block is 20 kilometers because safety is of more importance. All trains down the line come to a standstill. You had an incident in Balasore where a train accident took
Train
place.
mishap. Yes.
Imagine if someone is able to manipulate
The signaling system.
the signaling system. Right now, it is safety is the primary concern. So a station master man in the middle controls it. He controls what comes in his area and what goes out. So that man in the middle takes care of it. But if it is automated and we are something like a train-based communication-based train control is something which comes in, and I'm able to execute a perfectly legitimate command using illegitimate impersonation of identity.
Right, sir.
You can have an accident like Balasore. The death count in Balasore was 1,000 plus, injured was
Yes.
3,000 plus. Compare it to Kargil, death count 500 plus, injured count 800. One incident has far more impact than an operation which has lived for 3 months. So your logistics can be crippled. The amount of casualties can be crippled. Chaos can be triggered if banking and financial sector today I'm able to ensure denial of services to people that you can't withdraw money from your ATMs or banks or can't transfer
Your stock
money.
markets can be affected.
So
Yes.
chaos can be triggered, and chaos results in Bangladesh, chaos results in Sri Lanka, chaos results in Nepal. I don't need to get inside your country to do anything. I can engineer it sitting behind by just denying you access
To your critical
to
services.
critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
If I deny you access to a critical infrastructure at critical time, this was a standoff war, aerial war of Sindhu. We did not have significant troop movement. But suppose let's take for example Galwan was happening.
Yeah.
Significant troop movement took place. If I were to ensure that your troop movement gets jeopardized before a body of troop is fighting, they need reinforcements of whichever manner, whether it is resources, whether it is manpower, whether it is ammunition, whichever kind of resources, whether it's food, fuel, whatever, because all these are things on which battles will be fought.
True.
If I'm able to ensure that this comes after 4 days, the battle is lost. So logistics plays a very important part in all operations. If I'm able to use cyber as a means to disrupt logistics, these sensors on board, I was talking of drones, though. These platforms which I was integrating multi-sensor fusion, which I was doing, if I am able to ensure that they start behaving erratically, I deteriorate the quality of data. The drone transmission back, I was interfering by sending certain signals, and the adversary is able to do that with me. My entire AI behind gets confused. You're brought to a level where again you come to siloed functioning. Multi-sensor fusion has become ineffective. So cyber is a huge risk. Again, very low probability. Unfortunately, in our country, we have only related it to people losing money, and the sensitivity is only around that. Power sector, as he informed, has suffered one attack where it is still debatable whether it was a foreign adversary which has. But then, yes, the quantum of equipment from countries which are not so friendly, and in fact, in this world, I would say in the world of cyber, there are no friends. So we need to that Atmanirbhar Bharat makes lot of sense there to be able to produce it in India, control the entire ecosystem from start to end, so that nobody else can press that kill switch because all equipment made outside have a backdoor. So if F-16s, F-35s,
They always have a
they
backdoor.
can be disabled. Pakistan
Yes.
can't use it against us. Term of references, you can't use it in offensive operations against us. They have a switch behind which the US controls. That is why you are going in for aerial platforms which have where you have your own co-development or control. So you have the SUS there, or for that matter, Rafale also the same. I
Tejas.
need my control, complete control, and the indigenous Tejas that is coming in. I need the control on the ecosystem, not that you decide what I do.
Sir, let's continue this thought, sir. We are seeing what is happening in the so-called war zone conflicts of so-called the communication jammings, even in Ukraine. Now, in terms of the Indian Army's platform, if we see how well are we, I would say, deterrent, and how well we can, deploy these electronic warfare schemes, and also counter them to some extent. And with that flow also, sir, since the talk will continue as a railway man, you will please, after that, sir, please touch upon the vulnerabilities of the railway network at this point of time, sir. Indian Railways.
So first, let me come to the electronic warfare part of it. Not very sure, but I first heard about electronic warfare or ECM, ECCM, those words when I joined
The army.
the army, Corps of Signals. The first pamphlet which was there had ECM, ECCM. So at least the Indian Army has been cognizant of the importance of electronic warfare since mid 90s, I can say safely.
Yeah, but it was never given that kind of importance at that point of time, if I may submit.
Not
No,
exactly,
I feel-
because again, when I was there as an instructor there, we had people who were qualified.
Just for a while, don't think that you're Corps of
No,
Signal officers.
I think we have EW battalions.
So
We've
that
got
is a-
EW
they're not
formations.
classical
Yeah.
EW, but there were formations which had these HT16 kind of systems which are there, which are Hungarian origin, EW, high power transmitter, those kind of.
Jammers, searchers.
So the sensitivity and ability to inflict some kind of electronic warfare impact has been in existence with the Indian Army. Going forward, and it's on open domain, so I can talk about it. You had the first thing coming up was the Him Shakti,
Correct.
which is the electronic warfare capability in the
Yes.
Himalayas, the name says, in the mountains. It was followed up with something called Dhara Shakti, which is something for the Western
Plain.
theatre
Yes.
and plain. Project Sai Mukta. So you have these electronic warfare battalions available today, and it has been displayed in Ops
Ops
as
Sindoor,
recently
yes.
as Ops Sindoor. And one of the things that I very famously remember was as mobile communication started proliferating, formation commanders, especially some of them, started saying we don't need Corps of Signals.
We don't need communications.
मैं आप
That is
लोगों
all.
को इसलिए इस धारणा से बोल रहा था, कहीं आपने अपने आंसर्स में बोला टुडे इज द वर्ल्ड ऑफ सो कॉल्ड साइबर अटैक्स, जहां पे आई डोंट नीड टू एंटर योर डोमेन एंड आई स्टिल कंट्रोल योर क्रिटिकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर.
Yeah.
उस वक्त में ना सर, इट वाज ऑल अबाउट वन ऑन वन फिजिकल कॉम्बैट एंड ऑल. सो समवेयर आई फेल्ट इट वाज नॉट कि किसी को नीचे दिखाने वाली बात, बट ईडब्ल्यू को पहले इतना इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं दिया जाता था. आज क्योंकि हमारी कैपेबिलिटीज ईडब्ल्यू में इतनी स्ट्रांग हो चुकी हैं, दैट इज द रीजन दैट वी हैव ऑल ऑफ अ सडन देयर इज अ पैराडाइम शिफ्ट कि भैया इलेक्ट्रॉनिक वॉरफेयर और साइबर
Maybe-
वॉरफेयर में वी
maybe-
नीड टू बी वेरी डिफरेंट.
Maybe the word EW was not used.
यस.
The concepts of EW in action existed, and it was far more in Navy.
I
Far
I
more in
understand,
Navy.
sir.
It's far more- so that is so maybe the word was not there.
I have worked on
So
EW
that is-
systems, sir.
So maybe the word was not there, but the concepts were in action. So one of the formation commander in one of the exercises said that I don't need Corps of Signals. And the formation commander was armored formation, and I admire that
Generally.
chief signal officer who decided, because generally Corps of Signals senior hierarchy is taken to be muted and do your job,
Decent.
do your job, vanish away. Nobody
man.
needs to know.
Yeah.
Yes, not yes, man. Do your job, vanish away. If nobody has spoken ill about you or nobody has complained against you, means you've done a good job.
Okay.
Forget a pat on the back, that's not going to come. So there was this formation commander in front of the army commander said that I don't need Corps of Signals. We will manage our communications on our own. We have mobiles and we have our armored vehicle has communications of our own. So and he was basically anti-Corps of Signals person, wanted to put Corps of Signals down. Whatever happened, the CSO that day mobilized mobile jammers. in the night.
Electronic warfare again.
Whole
दिखा
night,
दिया.
whole night they were
Clueless.
clueless where to go. Next morning, sure shot, the army commander was having the formation commander. And the first thing he said, sir, core of signals failed, they did not provide communications.
Acha. Wow.
So the CSO got up and said the army commander would remember the formation commander had said they would manage on their own on mobiles. This was only to tell that no formations can survive in operations without
Without
core of
communication.
signals. So I hope that point is understood. And the army commander had the formation commander, not the core of signals. That is.
I think sometimes it becomes a mandate. It becomes very, very important, to show it on the ground. The
आपकी
reality
value
check,
क्या है?
the rain check.
Taste of the pudding lies in its eating, not on the. So the electronic warfare part and anecdotal portion along with it is what I've shared. Now you told me to talk about the vulnerabilities in the
Indian Railways.
railways. So I told you one example of Poland where someone was
Yes.
playing around with transmitters, triggered an emergency stop.
And the red and the green light.
So
part.
you have this again. Anything that is radio frequency dependent is
Vulnerable.
susceptible to electronic warfare. So you have something called the GSMR or the LTER, which is used for train communications. That is susceptible. The bigger challenge is all operational equipment in the railway ecosystem comes from OEMs which are foreign origin.
Amazing.
So your point machine.
Even Chinese origin?
Yes, in fact, we take pride in saying that immediately after Galwan, we cancelled a 490 crore signaling contract.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It was in news.
Dedicated freight corridor cancelled a 490 crores rupees signaling contract of a Chinese company.
Okay.
But it was awarded to a Chinese company.
Okay.
And if it was awarded in one case, prior to that could have been awarded to others, and they have points of presence.
So there can be malware or such codes, malicious codes in these equipment.
So they are there.
Hmm.
Others are of European origin,
Yes.
and some are of US origin. Any manufacturer always has his backdoors. That is the unwritten law. They always have the backdoor. So if as long as you are dependent on foreign OEMs, the backdoor will exist, and the foreign powers will have the capability to switch it off as
and jeopardize your network whenever they
And we
feel.
have had this case of entire Middle East traffic
Okay.
being redirected. They were all on Huawei.
Yes.
Huawei was
Chinese
one of
company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Entire Middle East traffic from Middle East to Europe, redirected through China.
Okay.
So the end user did not know, the telecom operator did not, just by virtue of using those equipments as part of the network.
So how vulnerable is Indian Railways in terms of these conflicts?
We are using the same set of OEM equipments.
So
So
we
the
are.
level of vulnerability remains same. In fact, all critical sectors in India have the same level of vulnerability. You get into the hospital, the MRI machine is Siemens. You get into an automated IoT bed.
I think अभी थोड़े दिन पहले न्यूज आई थी कि कोई MRI मशीन इंडिजिनियसली डेवलप हुई है.
कर रहे हैं.
है
But
ना?
then there's some
Another
some
prototype
distance
has
to,
been
so
cleared.
you go to the banking system or the erstwhile ATM system. They were all second-hand ATM systems brought from Europe.
Yes.
The satellite
that-
gateways.
That is why I was trying to say, even in the cellular network, in my stint with the Airtel, Huawei was totally banned. So no new projects were awarded to Huawei. It is only Nokia, Ericsson, Samsung, the Europeans and the South
So it is
Koreans.
about choosing a
Yeah.
lesser evil.
Lesser evil than
But then this world is so fractured, and one particular lobby is so strong. And Siddharth, in the world of cybersecurity, you have these called APTs. All APTs are named against people of non-NATO region.
APT बोले तो सर.
Advanced persistent threat.
Right.
So these are threats emanating from China, Russia, associated countries. They are the most hyped about APTs. They are the most hyped about threat vectors. Is US not a threat?
Europe
Is the
not-
European Union not a
not a
threat in
threat.
this segment? They are. But the market and mind shaping has been done in such a manner that when you think of threat, you think of China, Russia, North Korea. You don't think them as threat. Maximum tariff enforcement is coming from this side.
But if you see, Russia is our best friend. Even in the worst
So
situations,
again, in
just
this,
help us.
I have a different opinion. There are no
Okay.
friends in war,
Okay.
and you have to have the ability to be stable to stand your ground on your own. If you don't have, everyone is opportunist.
Okay, now moving from OEMs and cybersecurity, let's move to a new forward-looking concept. I've come to know it's in the open domain that there are proof of concepts being planned on the LEO satellites for Indian Railways communications. What is your view on that?
In fact, You're speaking to the architect of the POC.
Yes.
So,
We're talking
That
about
was the
the
intent.
low Earth orbit satellites here.
so, again, something that I studied in my master's.
Okay.
2008, when I was studying satellites, I thought of something called Satellite Personal Communication Network. Satellite has a turnaround time of 520 milliseconds
Yes.
theoretically.
36,000
And
kilometers going up and
actual
down.
is
Yeah.
slightly more because some latency would come
Latency.
in between. So around 650 milliseconds is one. That is a long enough latency to be tolerated for mission critical applications. As the middle Earth orbit and low Earth orbit satellites came into being and inter-satellite links became possible, it was possible to use this satellite grid for communication, specifically given the fact that your terrestrial communication is not possible at every place all the time. The footprint of terrestrial communication is restricted. The satellite communication has its footprint.
And if you see more on the railway lines where the population is not there, I've been part of the Airtel earlier, you don't want to invest a tower there because the return
There
investment
no
is not
return
there.
invest. So,
And the railways are traveling through green fields.
Absolutely.
So you need a communication.
so there are areas of dark patches of dark coverages where you don't have zero coverage.
Zero coverage.
Satellite is a boon that way. So now you have got coverage. Coverage with satellite being in the range of 80 to 200 kilometers.
Yes. Low Earth orbit satellites.
That brings down significant latency. Now these can be used for mission critical communication. So now I can use them for train positioning, moving mission critical communication to the train. A simple thing as a train had to stop to pick up something called a caution order. Caution order is something that is handed over to the driver saying that from this stretch to this stretch you drive at this speed because of work is going on, whatever may be the reason.
Sir, वो वाला तो नहीं जो एक रिंग पकड़ाते हैं ऐसे करके and
नहीं.
that what is that, sir?
That is on the
हमारे audience को
move.
समझाइए सर ये caution order क्या होता है?
So every station, the train
Okay.
stops, designated station, alternate station sometimes, the train stops, except a communication from the station master
Okay.
saying that going further
Next stretch.
in this stretch,
Hmm.
you have to maintain a lower speed
Okay.
because of some maintenance. So it is not
Okay.
every station, the station master can
Specific
not,
stations.
So if it is not a specified
It
halt, the
doesn't say.
station master can halt by saying, controlling the signal and say stop, take this.
And that's why it's called as a caution.
That's
Caution note. Okay.
Now look at the impact, and it goes unnoticed because in any case we keep cribbing कि train तो चलती नहीं, बहुत धीरे चलती है.
सर सच तो है सर.
So I'll come to
मैं
it.
जितनी स्पेशल ट्रेन में आज तक चढ़ा हूँ वो हमेशा 5 घंटे लेट करती है
So you
सर.
should be going now.
और मेरा स्टाफ भी सर यहाँ पे जो मेरे जो टीम वर्कर्स हैं यहाँ पे जो आते हैं वो भी हमेशा लेट इसलिए हो जाते हैं क्योंकि आपकी इंडियन रेलवेज हमेशा लेट करा देती
So
है सर.
you should be going now.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll come to that. So look at the impact. A train, if it has to slow down, it applies its brake almost 2 kilometers behind.
Before, yeah.
Wherever it is. The momentum mass into velocity,
Yeah.
the momentum that it is carrying, the braking power, 2 kilometers to stop, and then again to accelerate
Start.
and move forward. There's significant loss of power, time, both in every stop involved. So if I can deliver the caution order on the move,
Getting it, sir.
I have controlled significant bit of loss of power, time, everything. So it contributes to greenness, it contributes to regenerative power, and time is the user satisfaction function. So that is something that I'm experimenting with. If I'm able to do that mission critical application on the move, fog, the train moves in fog, the driver has to see the signal physically by his own eyes. At times in fog, he gets down, walks up to the signal and sees color kya, and then comes back and then moves ahead. If I can bring that aspect inside the train,
Yeah.
saying कि भाई अगला green है उसके आगे वाला green है उसके आगे वाला yellow है,
Sir,
then he need not stop
and
go
sir, इसी से एक रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन था. आवर व्यूअर्स मे नॉट बी नोइंग दैट पहले हमारे पास एक ही लाइन थी जिसमें ट्रेन भी चलती थी और उसी में आपके लगेज वाली ट्रेन भी चलती थी, मालगाड़ी भी चलती थी. नाउ विद द डेडिकेटेड फ्राइट कॉरिडोर वी हैव गॉट 2 पैरेलल ट्रैक्स, वन डेडिकेटेड फॉर फ्राइट and one for. Does it change the delay?
It changes things.
Like he's brought के लोग delay हो जाते हैं.
It changes things significantly.
Okay.
The impact for people who study, the Australian university who studied has brought down cost of logistics by 1% just
Okay.
by presence of. Now dedicated freight corridors are corridors or they're railway tracks along existing tracks which are only for freight movement.
Okay.
The average movement of freight used to happen at 25 to 30 kmph.
That's all.
Because on the same common line,
Same आपको share
freight
करना
and
है.
passenger
Yes.
जा रहा था. Passenger gets
पहले
priority.
पैसेंजर प्रायोरिटी लेगा फिर फ्रेट
Yes.
जाएगा.
With dedicated freight corridors coming in, freight is now moving at an average speed of 70 to 80 km per hour.
More than double.
More than double the speed.
तो पैसेंजर वाली भी तेज हुई
Almost
होगी.
3 times.
I'm coming to that. So
हाँ.
now I will come to the
हाँ.
second part.
Okay.
We run trains that are double the length of
Length.
normal freight.
Okay.
So 3 into 2, 6 times is the minimum efficiency. The carrying capability of the rake, the load bearing capability of each rake on our is 1.25 times the normal.
Okay. That's a good
So
improvement.
6 into 1.25, so that comes to about 7.25.
Okay.
That is the 7 point. This is the efficiency that I bring on when I'm moving single stack. In the western corridor, which is from Dadri going to connect JNPT, I run double stack train.
So double decker trains.
So 7.25 into 2, almost 42. So the efficiency that I'm bringing in terms of freight movement is 7 to 15 times of existing.
Then the
freight.
earlier
Than
setup.
what
Okay,
was there
that's
earlier.
phenomenal.
That is on the freight. Impact on this route is I have vacated the real estate or existing track
the passenger,
utilization
yeah.
for passenger utilization. All studies indicate passenger train timely running of train going in the bracket of 95 to 99% now, which was
Okay.
earlier 70, 80. So that has hit 95 to 99. The passenger train is running faster now. So it is affecting both in very positive manner.
That's good to know.
So that is why I said you may probably like to travel on the passenger trains now, which have a
Yes.
different.
Sir, let's do a little more candid conversation now. Sir, do you find there is any similarity between the Indian Army? You have seen that side, and now you're seeing the Indian Railway side. So, do you think there is any similarity between Indian Army and Indian Railways? Because there is always a man behind the machine, and even for the Indian Railways, what I feel after understanding the glimpse of vulnerabilities and the other techniques that you are employing and deploying, पूरा दिन तो काम वहाँ पे भी हो रहा है. Somebody is fighting, sir, over the entire day, sir.
I must compliment you for this observation.
Thank you, sir.
It was a realization for me also. Coming from army, you think आप ही देश बचा रहे हो, and you are at work 24/7.
Soldiers always on
Soldiers
duty.
are work 24/7, always on duty, and you actually see it happening in front of you. So you have probably a confirmation bias also.
True.
In fact, it was reinforced, or I first probably took note of it at a time when we have a signal regiment over here in Delhi, which looks after the communication support to the army headquarters. So the commanding officer of that signal regiment, when the chief was visiting that signal regiment, said, "Sir, I need a unit citation." He said, "For what?" He said, "Because I am at war every day." He said, "What nonsense." The exact number of SITREPs that will come to you in war are being handled by me daily. Only the length of SITREP will change. So whether the country is at war or not, I am at war. And they get put up to the operations branch every day with the same precision. After some few days, the reality was acknowledged and the unit was rightly given a
Unit citation.
Cut to 2020, I am in the railway ecosystem dedicated freight corridor. Whether we like it or not, with all the thing that train doesn't come late, train comes late, or whatever, the number of trains being run by railways every day.
No idea.
Passenger train,
Thousands?
8,000 plus.
1,000? Okay.
Overall, 13,000 trains run every day on the railway network, which is almost 63,000 kilometers long. And if you take both up and down, it is 1.25 lakh kilometers of railway network. These 8,000, I'm only restricting to 8,000. These 8,000 at least run with clockwork precision at 24-hour level.
Yes.
Yes.
Even if it has got delayed by 3 hours, 4 hours, the next day the train runs again. It got delayed by 8 hours, the next day train runs again. Someone behind the scene is making this happen
Continuously.
The railways is at war every day, if I pick the same signal regiment analogy. And this war is far more complex because it touches every human being who is an aspirational traveler on the railways.
You see on the news people going for the examination. The UN cry, one train gets cancelled or there are no seats. It's a UN cry.
So the war that the railways is probably a far real war that this unit was. They deserve to be recognized for that.
Sir, from the Untold story with Commander Victor Mike, the unit citation goes to the Indian Railways. That's the way we cheers with the Indian Railways and salute the endeavor with which you guys work every day. It's phenomenal. It's crazy. Hats off to you people.
Hats off to the people who are driving this massive machinery every day, starting from the last man to the top man. It was slightly less tech savvy. It is beginning to absorb technology.
That's the
Technology,
way.
technology.
Which is the dual edge again, but is beginning to absorb technology. Vulnerability I brought out. Army can cede sovereignty if it cedes ground sovereignty. Some ground can be ceded. Here, compromise of the railway ecosystem can lead to army ceding ground, even if it is wanting not to.
Mobilization.
Sir, I'll take you to a rapid fire question. There will be no time to think. The first question is leadership in one word.
Oh, that's a difficult one. 2 words at least. A role model.
Role model.
Whether it be professional, personal, honesty, integrity, you have to be a role model to be able in all these fields so that you can qualify as a.
पैसे छाप दिए सर आपने एक शब्द बोलकर सर. Sir, most cherished memory from your service life, sir.
Cherished memory from service life. अब एक वर्ड में तो पॉसिबल नहीं है. So let's see.
आप पूरा सेंटेंस बोल सकते हैं सर, ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है.
My coursemate was undergoing a very was to undergo an open heart surgery, and while he was being wheeled in, he told me, "आलोक, अगर कुछ हो जाए, खड़े तो बहुत हैं, मेरे परिवार का ध्यान रख लेना. Nothing can be bigger than this."
Salute to your coursemate and you, sir. कई बार हम लोग एक माइंडसेट से खुशहाली वाली बातें सोचना स्टार्ट कर लेते हैं चेरिश मेमोरीज में, बट आपने इतनी सादगी से बात बोली ना, एकदम ठहराव सा आ गया सर.
ये भी it was an afterthought for me also. There can be nothing more important than anything cannot be more important than this. You have heard of stories of friends dying in operations when he says that everyone's stopping him. Why are you going? You'll die yourself. And when he goes there and he comes back, he said, "बोला था ना कि मर गया. Nothing. He's not alive." And he says, "Purpose serve हो गया." मतलब क्यों? He said he was dying and he was waiting for me. He said, "मैं जानता था तू आएगा." Those kind of satisfactions cannot be matched with anything else. So,
sir, on a lighter side, what is the biggest myth of the army?
Biggest myth of the army, first we said कि इनको सिर्फ बंदूक चलाना आता है, security वाले हैं. Second is everything is free.
पार्टी करते रहते हैं हमेशा.
Party, everything is free. There are no dearth of resources. I think I'll keep it at 2 because you wanted only one. So
सर
I'll keep it.
आपने 2 शब्दों में आपने बहुत बड़ी बातें बोल दी हैं और ये तो बहुत डिबेटेबल भी है. So one tech trend that really excites you the most.
No, tech trend one, it cannot be one. It's an era of convergence. Each one is enabling the other one. So you have a technology trend happening in the field of telecom where the 6Gs or 5G is going on, 6G is on the annual.
AI,
something is happening in the space segment. We are getting in the space segment.
I think we talked about Starlink also.
So you're getting in the space segment. These two are basically the communication backbones for, again, multi-sensor fusion, as I say, always talk of multi-sensor fusion, and where the data is flowing. So that being enabled, so there's a lot of happening on the edges where people are able to acquire that kind of that quality image and transfer. Then comes this portion of AI, where you are actually leveraging the power of AI to get some kind of intelligence out of the data that you're getting. So it's a coexisting, in fact, not just coexisting, codependent, interdependent ecosystem of telecom, AI, cybersecurity. The whole thing has to be secure. And the next buzzword is the quantum era.
My God, ये वही एनडीए के छात्र हैं जो एनडीए ज्वाइन कर रहा था फॉर अवॉइडिंग स्टडीज, और ये वो हंटर वाले छात्र हैं जिनको पढ़ाई टॉर्ची नहीं बनना था. ये सब हमारे विम्स एंड फैंसीज हैं, पिक्चर कुछ अलग ही है. सर, अब सिंपल भाषा में एक ऐसी बुक विच यू वुड लाइक टू रेफर टू आवर यंग पेट्रियट्स that they must read.
Gen Zs of today.
For the Gen Zs of today, I would not recommend a book because they hardly read. That is what is my take, and it's with no offense to anyone. But one book that I would love was, I am a very, not a reader at heart, poor reader. But one book that I came across was very wonderfully written by our present foreign minister, Mr. S. Jaishankar, The India Way.
The India Way.
So that I would recommend. people to read, and Gen Z, any age.
I think that goes for me also.
Yes.
आपने पढ़ ली है?
No, I need to.
So that is
मैं
something
पढ़नी
that,
पड़ेगी।
that is something that I would recommend people to read. Otherwise, something that what is more close to my heart is technology, strategy, etc. Where I would say Coded Bias is something that you should see. It's a series on Netflix. How your day-to-day routine is being used for analyzing you and probably feeding you things. There is one more on OT security, which is The Robot. There's again a series on Netflix. So these one book and two series, probably web series that you can see.
Netflix अगर ये सुन रहा हो तो द कमांडर विक्टर माइक के चैनल को कनेक्ट कर सकता है, कांटेक्ट कर सकता है।
Of course.
So here we finish the rapid fire.
Yeah.
And we come to the end of the podcast, and we've got a couple of questions for you before we end. So one question from my side is, you had a long journey, joining the NDA, IMA, Corps of Signals. In between, you were in Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, as joined it. Then Railways now. So it has been a long checkered career with different shades and different places where you have, been there. What is one achievement which you have been very proud of in your long career as you look today?
Man, I don't know. It's a difficult day today. You want me to pick out one
Oh,
from
any few of
30
them
odd years, but
which-
let me
few of them which you-
let me prioritize it and see. I think my biggest achievement would be, I would like to believe that I have been able to motivate people like you, whom I have had the
I'm so
honor of.
honored, sir.
I have had the
मुझे लग रहा था ये आने वाला था।
I have had the honor of probably interacting, training, and learning from you all. A lot of people who have grown up to do well, it's a whole lot of segment for commanding today, are
And made changes in the organization.
have made changes in the organization is one part of it. What gives me satisfaction is they have grown up in life.
Grown up in life.
They have reached levels where they've surpassed me in levels. They are bringing in changes. Some of it, they say, whomsoever, are rooted in few triggers that I gave them in life.
Which they remember.
So
Yeah.
I think there cannot be a better satisfaction than someone who is saying that you brought some change to my life and you have risen to some level in the life. So I think that's
Very rightly said. Very
How beautiful, sir. Sir, over to the ending note, sir. Something which is very close to my heart, sir. A message from Colonel Pandey, sir, for my beautiful youth, our Gen Z, जो कि आजकल के डिजिटल नेटिव्स भी कहलाए जाते हैं. I don't know if you'd like to, ask them to serve the nation, and in case if not directly serving the nation by joining the army, how they can use their technical skills for the national good.
So my friends, my message to you would be very simple. कर चले हम फिदा जानो तन साथियों, अब तुम्हारे हवाले वतन साथियों. And generation next, as most people generally try and find faults in the generation next or find them wanting on the parameters that we would want to evaluate you on, but you are in a different world, a world of your own, and the reality is that you are a better generation than what we are, and you are far more capable than what we have done in our life. So your contribution to nation building is where the 2047 Viksit Bharat comes in. We may or may not be there to see that day, but you are going to live in that era of Viksit Bharat, where you will be running shoulder to shoulder with the US and the China of the world, and your contribution to that extent becomes very important. I have a very unidimensional way of looking at things, especially when it comes to nation building, and it is, you should have just one identity, and that identity should be Indian. There's no other identity that matters if you're not an Indian. Serve your country in whichever form you are. I have had the fortune of being in 3 different roles, donning the uniform in a regulatory role, and now after hanging my uniform in a civilian role. You can serve your nation from any place that you are, as long as it is directed towards the growth of your country and your own self. Thank you.
I think this is one of the most beautiful messages I've ever heard from any of, I would not, try and correlate with my other guests, but from anybody till now for this amazing youth. And, it comes from a guy who's been a soldier, a technocrat, and he has been involved in so many reformations and, policy makings, working on technology, day and night. Even at this point of time, सर ने कहीं पे जिक्र करा था कि कारगिल के कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में we lost 500 people, and for Bala sir, we lost
1,000 plus,
lost 1,000 lives. So, just to assimilate these thoughts, we need to understand that it's just not, donning the uniform and just standing, at the border and, protecting our country. There are various means in which we can do the national good.
Whichever
And
role you are.
Whichever role you are.
Be
serving the
grateful
country.
to what you have got and see what you can give back. I am grateful to this motherland, to Corps of Signals, and to all my coursements, all of you, to wherever I am today. I am getting this opportunity today that you have given me is a digital real estate in a era where posterity, that will be part for posterity. So I'm grateful to what has been there in life.
And I think through these medias and modes, we are also leaving a legacy in the digital affairs, which will always stay.
Very nice.
And if there is anybody who would like to, look for some information, obviously we'll definitely look for Colonel Alok Pandey. Sir, I'm very, very grateful to you, and I'm also very humbly thankful to my co-host, Colonel Siddharth Shukla, who has also taken this charge of, mentoring me in terms of this entire different, style of podcast. And I'm sure ये कारवां सिर्फ यहाँ तक खत्म नहीं होगा. ये कारवां इस पॉडकास्ट के एपिसोड से शुरू हुआ है, और ये हमें आगे कहाँ ले जाएगा वो आने वाला वक्त बताएगा.
My pleasure. And I also look forward for more such, interactions.
And before I sign out here, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Contact channel, which is hosted by my co-host,
Surely.
Shukla sir.
The same video will be available in that channel also.
Sometimes, जब मेरे गेस्ट आते हैं ना, तो मैं उनके बारे में इतना कुछ जान नहीं पाता हूँ, for paucity of time. And जब उस गेस्ट के साथ में बातचीत होती है और डिस्कशन फोरम्स में हम बैठते हैं, तो हमें पता चलता है कि उस गेस्ट का कितना बड़ा योगदान रहा है उसकी ज़िंदगी में, और वो कितना knowledgeable है. And I'm telling it from my core of the deep heart inside me, sir, that hats off to your journey so far, sir. There has been so much learning in just this matter of 2 hours. I could reflect back to my times, when I served, and I was doing a little bit in the so-called, the jamming techniques and, whatever Navy could offer me. And those were my beautiful days. And at this point of time, sir, बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है सर किसी की 30 साल की जर्नी, 20 साल की जर्नी, वो सबको एक तरह से समराइज करना. But the way you have brought it out, it's phenomenally amazing, sir. Thanks once again, sir, for coming on the Untold story with Commander Victor Mike. धन्यवाद, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming.
Thank you, Vipul. Thank you,
sir.
Siddharth.
Thank you,
Jai
sir.
Hind.